Hello everybody and welcome to a findingspeed.com test stream. As it says, we're just testing some overlays ahead of his birthday race. It's a community race, so feel free to join. I'm sure there's some more information in the Discord, so feel free to go over to the other stream that's currently on this channel and type !Discord in the chat. It will bring you up the link. Go ahead and join the Discord and all the details you need will be in there. So like we said, it is just a little test stream. We're testing out audio, testing out different overlays, and everything like that. We'll turn the music down a little bit, because I can imagine that's drowning me out. We'll get that turned down, there we go. So we are here at Silverstone for iLMS, of which Mr. Finding Speed himself, Russell Barnes, is racing in. He has just got to towards the latter part of qualifying, only 1 minute left, so we'll run you through that very shortly. But we are on the full Grand Prix configuration of the Silverstone circuit. It's a 5.8 kilometre rotation to do one full lap, so a real long way to get round. 32 degrees track temperature, which is rather high. In GTE cars, yes, they've got plenty of downforce, but that doesn't make up for mechanical grip. So 32 degrees, yes, the drivers will be busy throughout most of the race. Obviously, we are here in England, so 32 degrees is classed as exotic, which is nice to see. So we will have a look through to see what we've got going on at the moment. So Mr. Russell Barnes, he has put his car on provisional second position. We do have another car out on track at the moment. We'll have a look. This is Anthony Ferrate. Well, apparently he's out on track. Let me see what we can do. He has stopped on the side of the road. So he has decided that it is the end of the session for him. I've just noticed something. You'll have to bear with me a second. I've got to quickly edit something within the timing software that we use, SDK. It's an issue on my end. I just need to grab a link and change that in the software itself, and then we will be up to date and all good to go. Let me find what I need, and I can make sure that I do the best to make the stream look pretty damn good for you. Nearly there. It's around here somewhere. Sorry about this. I am aware this is only a test stream, but obviously I do want to make sure that it is it's a good stream for you nonetheless. Just place that in there. I think we have managed to get it sorted. So if I click apply, okay, and let me just go back to a random point in the session if I can. That doesn't quite bring up what I was expecting. Let me just delay that a little bit. That's quite a short blip between the replay image showing up and then disappearing once again. Let me try and find that. I'm not 100% sure what to do at this point in terms of the replay because I'm not massively familiar with the SDK software, but we are getting there. We are 100% getting there. I'm sure we can get that sorted before the weekend, but for the moment you'll just have to put up with a very, very, very quick replay transition. But we are now going into the race, of which there isn't a warm-up lap, I don't believe. I think there's only a short little warm-up lap, so I'll run you through the grid, or what we've got so far. I click on that, go onto grid. Here we go. So Thiago Pereira lines up on pole position with a 1 minute 58.129, so an incredibly quick time from him, shortly followed by Mr. Finding Speed himself, Russell Barnes, only 1.5 hundredths of a second behind. And on the second row of the grid, we've got Kevin Dejoux, Philip Schief, then Thomas Johansson, I believe, at this point, David Mann, Anthony we got Carante, Paul Mikos, and I think we're already gridding up rather quickly. So I don't think we're going to have time to run you through the entire grid, which is a shame. See, they are on the back straight, so I will leave the grid rolling through for you, just so you can see who lines up where. But we'll get the music turned off as we are about to go green at Silverstone. A few incidents further back, that is the end of the grid, so 35 cars on the grid already, and I think we may be underway as soon as we get around this final corner. I believe it's called Club. You see Russell Barnes on the outside, in the hands of the Fiercely Forward machine. And we go green here at Silverstone for what is, in theory, a test stream for us. So there's no massive formalities in this. We're not taking it too seriously. just a nice little test stream so we can test overlays, test various little bits. So there will be bits of commentary here and there, but I'm also trying to keep an eye on what's going on the levels and on the different aspects that we've got to look out for during the stream. So I've just realised you can put !Discord in this chat as well if you want to join the Discord, so feel free to do that, please. It's all the details on how you join a community race and how you get involved with what Finding Speed does will all be in there. I'm in there as well, so feel free to give me a shout. I'm under the name Jack TW, I believe, in Discord, something like that. So make sure you you give me a shout if you need anything. But Russell Barnes is doing a great job, still in P2 at the moment. He's set the fastest sector 2, so he's definitely not wanting to let the leader pull away at this point. We're only 1 minute in of a 1 hour race. We've really got a race on our hands so far. But like I said, it's nothing formal this stream. We're just testing different overlays and different bits. Also volumes as well, because we want to make sure that this weekend we can provide a decent enough commentary and broadcast for you. So the main event, you'll hear me keep going back to this weekend, and on Sunday at 8 PM BST, I believe, maybe 8 PM GMT. I'll have to get the exact time and date for you. I know it's this Sunday. That's all I know at this point. Finding Speed, Russell Barnes has got a community race for you. It's his birthday on the Saturday, and he has decided to do a birthday community race on the Sunday. It's GT3, so a GT3 car of your choice. There's no restrictions there, and it's open setup as well at Road Atlanta. So start getting your prep in now if you're going to join, because I know some of these guys are taking it quite seriously, even though it is just a bit of fun. You get a couple of fast repairs as well, which is great to keep the racing close, because if you make a mistake, it means you can just dive into the pits, get your fast repair, and get back out there. Hopefully, is a nice little formula for some good racing. So we've just finished the first lap of the Silverstone circuit. Thiago, our P1 driver in another Porsche. We've currently got a Porsche P1, P2, P3. We'll have a look at Thomas Johnson. It wasn't Johansson. Thomas Johnson will actually look from what he sees in the cockpit. So you see Russell Barnes up the road there. Not massively far up the road at this stage, but Russell will once again be in the draft. So I can only see this gap extending. For some reason we don't have a majorly large battle box up. I'll see whether I can sort that for the weekend. But you can see he's not massively far adrift. We'll also have a look back from Thomas Johnson, and there is the likes of, who we got? We've got Davidson Man behind. I believe it's just swapped around. It might be Man Davidson, but not 100% sure. And it doesn't seem like the top 3, that does include Russell Barnes, are pulling away to the same extent as I was expecting. P5 has set a personal, or a purple sector 5. And actually I say that as Russell Barnes has gone and set a purple sector 3, so he's definitely on the move, doing everything he can to work his way up the order. After all, he did start P2, so he's got plenty of time to make up on the leader. Didn't get the greatest start, but he's still just about in draft. 8/10 up the road is Thiago Pereira, so he'll be pushing on now. But I'm going to sort of keep reiterating the fact that this isn't a massively formal stream. We are just testing out different graphics and different volumes and overlays and things of the such, and I think we're pretty much there now. Still got another few bits to sort out, but I'm happy with what my graphics look like as well. If you are in chat, please do feel free to drop me a message if something needs to be louder, something needs to be quieter, or graphics need to be changed, or the stream's stuttering. I've got chat open on one of my other screens, and it looks to be running okay, and I'm pretty sure you will be able to view it in all of its 1080p goodness. But as far as I'm aware, the overlay is working okay. We haven't had any major hiccups just as yet. We'll go on to a camera we don't really see that often on commentary, which is the chopper cam. I do like a good chopper cam. I only try and stick with realistic camera angles. So going into cockpit cam, for example, this is a camera angle I don't necessarily like to see. So obviously it's not that realistic in terms of streaming. If you were going to go for an onboard camera, gyro is probably the best for that. If not nose, which we can really see how low these cars are, and then if you want to look backwards, we've obviously got a gearbox as well, but there's nothing really to see backwards at the moment because Russell has built out a 2.2 second gap over Thomas Johansson behind. We'll go back to that chopper cam though. It helps show off the distance between Russell Barnes and Thiago I'm going to try this again. Pereira. No, Pereira. I was right the first time. You can tell this isn't a formal stream, can't you? We are testing. It's definitely pushing my my accents and various, well, or lack of skills in pronunciations. But it's great to see that there are a lot of international drivers out. I think, if I can count it correctly, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different nationalities spread over 35 cars. So massive grid, and so some of those it's not like they're too far away. The top 10 has got 3 Americans in it at the moment. So these guys are going on well. We'll go back to Man Davidson. This is the first of the Americans leading the way. He's currently in P5 at the moment, pushing on forward, but he's got two he's got behind. He's got Stefan Hoffman in the BMW, keeping him hot on his heels. We'll go to gearbox cam just so you can see the gap a little closer. There he is, going through turn 1, then into turn 2, and then heading into the first of 2 tight hairpins here at Silverstone. The gap definitely closing up. BMW seems to be the preferable car on the brakes, but the Ford does have the legs on the straight. Obviously it is a little lighter, so coming out the corner, as you can see, it's got the acceleration, and it's probably got a slight aero advantage as well. Doesn't quite have the same frontal area as the BMW, but we are doing okay in that department. I've got to say, I've fallen in love with this chopper cam. We'll go back to it again. It shows off really how close these guys are. We've got a little battle behind. That's Stefan Hoffman doing everything he can to catch up to Thomas Johnson, but Paul Mikos has managed to work his way past. I was looking the wrong way. There we go. Stefan Hoffman was under pressure from Antonio Baena, but Antonio not quite getting the move to stick, but he's compromised his line. And we'll go back to another American, Philip Schief, just behind in the second of the BMWs. He's doing everything he can to work his way past Antonio Baena. But this isn't, I'm gonna keep on saying it as much as I can, but this isn't a massively formal stream. We're just trying to test as much as we can ahead of the community race this weekend. So if you don't know about it, just type in !Discord in the YouTube chat, and it will bring you a link to the Discord. Go in there, and all the information you need is in the appropriate places. There's a text channel called Community Races, and you see it in there. There's a sign up link, everything like that, and then obviously all the restrictions and whatnot. So it's at Road Atlanta in a GT3 car of your choice. It's a 1-hour race, so much like the IMSA races this week, and you get 2 free fast repairs. So it should be a nice formula for close racing. So if you have a little incident, you can leave the pits and come back. That's an incident for Man Davidson. We'll have a look back at that. Let's see what he did coming around the final corner. Puts the power down, gets it nicely out of there. Does he take too much curb? No, it just looked like the rear over-rotated a little bit. Does a great job of keeping it out the wall and keeping it out of everybody's way. Struggling to find a gear for. He goes backwards. That's brave. I would have gone forward, because I know the turning circle on the Ford is actually quite good for a GT car. But he's got it back going, and we'll go back live with him just to see how he's getting on. He's now dropped back into the top 20 and is doing everything he can to work his way back up into the top 10. But still pushing forward. We'll have to go back to the main man, Russell Barnes. Not quite within striking distance of Thiago Pereira, our current leader, but he's doing everything he can to get back to the starting distance. We'll go on board with Russell just to see how he's doing. You just hear the Porsche engine scream. I think that is one of the most iconic parts of a Porsche, is the engine. Now obviously the 911s famous for their sort of so recognisable are the noise of the 911s. We'll go back to this chopper cam now. I really do like this chopper cam. We might even have a look at blimp cam a little bit later. But he's doing alright, going down the hanger straight into Stowe, hard on the brakes, but not too hard, because you've got to carry as much momentum around here as possible. We'll try going to a TV cam just to see what these looks like. You see both cars got the lights ablaze, letting each other know that they're there. Russell isn't posting massively quick times. Thiago is leading from the front and setting quicker times. He lapped a full 10th quicker than Russell on the lap prior. We'll see what they do this lap. I say that as Russell decides he's not having any of it and goes 3/10 quicker and sets a new purple lap time. So he set a 1 minute 58.322. So great job from Russell, pushing forward as much as he can in his fiercely forward liveried Porsche. Got to say, I do love the spec map on those. I'm trying to keep as non-biased as possible because for those of you that might know, I do race for fiercely forward as well. But the spec map on there is absolutely beautiful. You've got the deep matte black at the rear of the car, fading into an aggressive chrome-looking line. Then you go into the very bright and unmistakable yellow. You won't miss it coming in your rear-view mirror, and I guess that is the aim. 10 minutes of the race already gone. You can see the wing and probably one of the most iconic corners, bridge, in the background, going on to the old start-finish straight, driving as hard as they can up towards the old first corner of Copse, under the Silverstone bridge. A little dab on the brakes, down a gear, possibly two, through Copse, threading their way through, up towards Maggots and Beckett's, doing a great job so far of keeping it on the road. I know these Porsches can be quite twitchy if you don't get the inputs right, but it looks like both cars have got the Porsches in hand. We'll go back to Thomas Johnson behind. He's still got, well, I was about to say he's still got Paul Mikos on his coattails, but a slight outbreak from Paul behind, and he's managed to pull away the gap. Not to a great extent, still just over half a second from Paul. We'll go on board with him. So you can see the Porsche of Thomas. We've currently got a Porsche 911 RSR top 3, and then a BMW M8 GTE top P4 to P7, and from P8 to P9 we've got another two Fords. We've got two Fords, and then from P10 to P10 to P13, sorry, so 4 cars. That's another 4 BMWs. So it doesn't seem like there's a specific car of choice. There is a distinct lack of Ferraris out, although they have been dropping off a fair bit. We'll go back to Richard Stone, who is in one of the Porsches, to see how he's doing. He's currently down in P16, lapping quicker than all the cars around him, dropping into the 159s, and he did lap marginally quicker than the P14 car, so he's definitely got the pace in his lime green and black Ferrari 488 GTE. I will try and keep commentary up as much as is comfortable, because like I've mentioned before, this isn't a massively formal stream. We're not hoping to get a broadcasting sort of background. We're just here to test various volumes and overlays and things of the such, ready ahead of this weekend's community race. Obviously we have got 2 streams going on at the moment. So one of them is Mr. Finding Speed himself, Russell Barnes. Here he is. He is streaming his perspective, which is what you'll normally see. So by all means, go over and have a look at his stream. Go interact with him. Go say hello. Tell him I sent you from this side of his channel. This is very much just a test stream this evening, ready for his race this Sunday. Obviously, you can get involved in the community race this Sunday. Type !Discord in chat, and you should receive a link. Click on that link, it will bring you straight into the FindingSpeed.com Discord. Go on to community races, and all the information you need on how you can join and what to do when you get there is all available to you. Russell running slightly wide, coming out of Abbey, I believe, or is that Stowe? I can't remember. But he's got it back on the road again. Still just within a second of Thiago Pereira, our leader. But not closing the gap up as much as he would like at this stage. He did lap quicker, or he did lap marginally slower that lap, sorry. About half a second, but half a second on a 5.8 kilometre circuit isn't a massive deficit. But yeah, back to the topic. We've got a community race this weekend. It's Russell's birthday on the Saturday, the 16th of May, and on the 17th of May he decided to do a community race for everybody to join in. His birthday race, it's a GT3 car of your choice, so pick any of the GT3 cars available on the iRacing.com service. Pick one of those. It's an open session at Road Atlanta, so you've got a bit of practice beforehand, and then qualifying. Then you go into a 1-hour race. You've got 2 fast repairs, so that should keep the racing nice and close and nice and compact. So if you make a little mistake, get caught up in some contact, maybe a little first lap carnage, you can dive into the pits and pick up one of the 2 fast repairs and get straight back out there and start battling once again. And obviously with that 1 hour race time, you've got plenty of time to get down and dirty and get your elbows out. So do feel free to join. All the information is available for you at the Discord chat. And obviously, don't just join the Discord to join the community race. We've got a massive community in there at the moment, and it's ever growing. They're always interactive, always saying hello. So make sure you go in there, say hello to everybody, and let people know sort of what you've been getting up to. Obviously, on iRacing, there are people that have good races and that have bad races and everything like that. And there's places to discuss that in the Discord. You can share your livery images, past races, even pictures of your rig. There is really a topic for almost everything. And it's not just iRacing. There are Assetto Corsa and Automobilista 2 chats in there. So it's not just solely iRacing. You can join and talk about a topic you like. And obviously we do have an ideas for the server chat as well. So go in there and let us know what you'd like to see in the Discord. We do listen, we do update the Discord very regularly. We've got Russell Barnes posting a 1 minute 58.196, which was almost 6/10 or just over 6/10 quicker than our current leader, Thiago Pereira. So Russell making amends for that previous mistake. Thiago going slightly deep on the brakes, going round the second of the 2 hairpins, powering his way towards Aintree and Brooklands. So Russell really closing up. We've had an issue further back for Christopher Foster. We'll have a look back to see what he's done. This is going around the final corner. Slow Porsche in the middle of the road. That is Christopher. Going around the final corner. We've seen a car get caught out there. He used plenty of brakes, or plenty of curb on the entry, and he gets collected by the Ford just behind. Manages to get it stopped. Keeps his way off the racing line. Just very cautious. So great driving from him. We'll go back live with him just to see what he's doing. Weaving his way through the hairpins, and he's got it back going. Looks like very, very minimal damage. Nothing major. No aero damage. So he's got it back going once again. We'll go back to Russell Barnes. Doing a great job, just weaving his way through Cops and up towards Maggots and Beckett's. So if you are just joining us, I've seen we've got 5 viewers now, so hello everybody. This isn't a massively formal stream. I don't plan on commentating for the whole thing. We're just testing overlays, volumes, everything like that ahead of this weekend's community race. So I think we're looking okay. Graphics settings could do with a bit of work on my end, but I think we've got them almost to how we need them. Volumes as well. If volumes aren't up to spec, please do message in chat, put something in chat, say iRacing needs turning up, I need turning up, anything like that. Do feel free to let me know what you want. But I think we're pretty much there at the moment. There are going to be a couple of paints that haven't loaded in actually. I've just noticed that there are a couple of plain black cars in the background without number boards. But we'll keep an eye on this lead duo at the moment. Russell doing everything he can to keep up. Drop back once again. He did an incredibly quick lap on the lap prior, but he's dropped back by 2/10, and we've got that's Philip Sheaf posting a 1 minute 58.016, so almost into the 157s. That is an overall best lap this race, so going purple. Great job by him. We'll actually get back to him just to see how he's doing. He's found himself in a little world of his own at the moment. 2.1 seconds ahead to Paul Mikos, pardon me. Then Stefan Hoffman is almost 2 seconds behind as well. So not much he can do at this stage. Using all the track he can. He's clearly just got his head down, found himself some clear air, and is going to start pushing forward. See if he can find himself on the podium. There are 2 podium spots up for grabs for him at this point. Obviously we've got Paul Mikos. We will look back from Paul just to show the gap. So it is quite a way up the road. But if Philip manages to wind his way past Paul, we've then got Thomas Johnson just ahead, and there's the gap between Mikos and Johnson, so really close between those guys. So as soon as Philip catches Mikos, he finds his way into a battle of attrition with these 3 guys, and this is the battle for the final spot on the podium. Going through Maggots Beckett and just going on to Chapel before the hanger straight. Johnson still leading from Mikos, but half a second between these guys, almost 4/10 now, getting ever closer. But while this is all happening, we've got Russell doing everything he can to catch back up to the leading car of Thiago Pereira. We'll have a look from the TV camera just to get you a slightly wider angle on what's happening. Russell using all the curb and a bit extra. That's damaged his car. He's lost a bit of front aero from that, so that will be affecting his front grip and what is already a hot track. That is everything he didn't need at this stage. So he will be disappointed about that. I'm sure he'll start to feel the understeer creep in, but obviously there is a pit stop during this. You cannot go the full 1 hour on 1 tank of fuel and tyres. So I'm guessing he might possibly just stretch tyres to the end. Personally, I know I would. But we have seen previously that there are some people that do take fuel and tyres as well. Obviously, you've got to sacrifice the time in the pit stop and just hope that the tyres come into play before the end of the race, and you end up making up the time you've lost. But that damage on Russell's car, we'll have to see whether it plays a part. You can see it just slightly on the front right of his front bumper, where the canards on the splitter end. Bit of damage, nothing major, but it doesn't seem to affect him to a massive degree at this point. He dropped back a little bit, but still well within a second of the leading car. No, this is just a test, mate. It's Nathan, isn't it? This is just a test for this weekend. Obviously, Russ has got his community race this weekend at Road Atlanta, and I do plan on broadcasting it. Obviously, it is his birthday the day before, so I just thought, as a little birthday present, I'll do some commentary on it for him. So obviously, if you are racing in it, you'll be seen on the stream as well. But yeah, this is just a little test stream. We're testing volumes and graphics and overlays and everything like that. As far as I'm aware, we've got it pretty much where we want it. There are a few bits we need to change. Obviously, the track map is starting to get slightly annoying now. I'll see whether we can get rid of that. I can't find it now. There it is. Oh, I've lost it completely. Never mind. So yeah, this isn't a formal stream at all, mate. We're just testing various bits. But as far as I'm aware, yeah, like I say, we've got it all right. And we did say earlier on that Philip Sheaf is just on the edge of the 1 minute 57, and he's done a 1 minute 57.978. So he is by far and away the quickest car on circuit at the moment. I think he is the first driver to drop into the 1 minute 57. He is indeed the quickest driver thereafter is Russell Barnes, so who we're looking at the moment with a 1 minute 58.20. I think that was a 192 actually, just rounded up to the nearest full second. Oh, the nearest 10th, pardon me. But Russell, obviously, he does have that extra little bit of damage, and he's still just within a second of Thiago ahead. Thank you very much, Nathan. It'll be good to see you at the weekend. Do you know what you're driving yet? Obviously, you've got the full range of the GT3s available to you. So, have you decided on what you'll be driving? We can get some stats up for you. There we go. So the current track temperature is 32 degrees centigrade. So a pretty hot track. Not the hottest we've seen it, but it's better than what it could be. I've seen iLMS races up into the 40s. So a mildly comfortable track temp for the guys to cope with. The air temp is 23 degrees, so the cars won't, as long as you don't have damage, won't have an issue with overheating. But obviously Russell did pick up that early damage after using a bit too much curb on the final corner. We'll see him wind his way through there now, keeping off the curbs well and truly. And obviously these big red sausage curbs, they do play a massive part in obviously track limits prevention, so he's doing a great job. Oh, you're racing the Audi. Very nice. I'll look forward to hearing that. I do love the Audi, or the noise of the Audi, and that's the car you race with Rob, isn't it? On the VRS Endurance. So we're 25 minutes into the race, almost, and I'm not 100% sure when drivers will start to pit. We've had a couple of pit stops further back, but I'm assuming that's for damage. Max Boeck, Hayden Fowler, Kevin Dejoux, and Rafal Phil have all pitted for various reasons. That is the P29 to P32 drivers have all dived into the pit, so they're possibly all caught in the same incident, but they've got it back going again. The closest cars on track are these two at the moment, side by side, going down in towards Brooklands. You can see Rob Clokey on the inside. Just manages to get the job done momentarily, but I don't think that Javier Rodriguez in the Ford is going to let him get by that easily. Javier, one of the drivers that doesn't have a livery loaded in for me. But Rob not letting him get away with it either. He's really determined not to let him keep the position, but Rob will be on the outside for the original turn 1 of Copse Corner. Rob doing everything he can to stay alongside, just keeping the car gripped up around the outside, but he's got to drop back into draft. But obviously he's now compromised himself to Lafrancos behind in the fellow BMW, going through Maggots and then winding their way through Beckett's. There goes, whoa, both cars went off there. That was Lafrancos in the BMW and Javier in the Ford have both gone off. We'll have a look back from the gearbox camera. There are the two. Both of them with slowdown penalties after cutting the course, but Rob clearly put on enough pressure to make them both make a mistake, and that's Rob now into the top 10. He's currently in P8. With 7 seconds up the road is this man, Antonio Bina, keeping busy with Martin Art and Stefan Hoffman ahead. Doing everything he can to make inroads on that position. We'll go back to Mr. Russell. That's not Mr. Russell, that's Thomas Johnson, but Thomas Johnson defending hard from Philip Sheaf behind. We've seen Philip post some absolutely amazing times. He's the fastest lap of the race. Actually, he's done a 1 minute 57.98, so a great job from him. Thomas really pulling out all the stops, but he's gone around the outside. He's gone the long way around Aintree, and now he's dropped into fourth position, but he will have the tow going up towards Brooklands, commonly referred to as the stadium section. But I think Philip has just brought out the gap to a margin where he's not going to be under pressure from a re-overtake. You heard the Porsche of Russell Barnes scream by in the background there. There's the gap between the top two. 3/10 between them now, so Russell is on a quick lap, doing a great job of keeping up with him. He has been lapping quicker in the middle sectors, sector 2 and sector 3. He has been a couple of tenths quicker than Thiago ahead. Well, that could be draft assisted. Sector 1 he has dropped off a little bit, but that could be to do with the damage. Obviously you've got two very quick corners in sector 1, so that damage could play part in that. Sunday, let me check. I can't remember. I think it's 8 o'clock. I mentioned it earlier, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. I will go to the community races tab in the Discord. Obviously, if you aren't in the Discord, not necessarily you, Rob, no, Nathan, sorry. But if you are watching and you're not in the Discord, exclamation mark Discord in the chat, and it'll bring you up a link. Go there, and it will bring you straight into the Discord, where there is an incredibly active community of people at the moment, and it's great to see. It's ever growing. We've got plenty of text channels and voice channels for you to enjoy, so feel free to pop by and let us know how you're getting on in iRacing or any other sim for that matter. So Nathan, the original question, it is at 9 PM on Sunday, so that's 9 PM BST on Sunday at Road Atlanta in the GT3 cars. It's a 1 hour race, and obviously you've got 2 fast repairs with a mandatory fuel stop. You can't go the full 2 hours, or the full 1 hour, pardon me, on 1 tank of fuel, so you will have to make sure you do pit for fuel. Obviously if you've got a spotter, that will help you, because you can just say pit stop fuel to the end and it will bring you straight there. But these guys have got a bit of traffic behind them on their way now, and I can't decipher who that is. It could be, no, I'm struggling to find out who he is. If we see a number it would be okay, but he's just outside of the camera angle, and not exactly getting a great angle to see the number on the car. Russell's still in P2 though, matching his race number. He is exactly where he started. The top 2 remain unchanged in terms of position, but Thiago ahead isn't exactly pulling away to a great extent. Just under a second between these 2 guys going down the hanger straight. Thiago doing everything he can at the halfway point in the race to push forward and build up that gap, so he can see what we can do with his pit stop strategy. We've had an issue further back for one of our leading drivers. This is Stefan Hoffman. We've seen issues for Stefan before. We'll go back and have a look to see what happened. He went off track apparently for just over 7 seconds, so it must be a fairly major incident. Oh, he clips the grass coming out of Chapel onto the hanger straight. Keeps it out of the barrier. We've had an issue for Thomas Johnson as well. He was running, I think he was running P5 at the time. Here he is in his Porsche, going down into the very final few corners of the circuit. Oh, he over-rotates it on the brakes, and on turning, gets it stopped, grabs a gear and starts to get it pointed in the right direction again. We'll go live with him just to see how he's doing. Obviously he's now got the attentions of the Ford just ahead. That's Antonio Bina, and he's got Martin Arts just behind in the BMW. Both cars with beautiful chrome spec maps. The BMW and the BMW, funnily enough. No, I'm looking the wrong way once again. The BMW and the Ford. So Thomas Johnson just about leading the train. We'll go back to Russell. He's once again within 3/10. So we've seen Russell really close the gap at this stage in the circuit. Around halfway around a full lap, he gets right onto the tail of Thiago, but can't quite get the move done at this stage. We'll keep an eye on the battle though. Once again, winding their way through Chapel Curve for the 15th time of asking. Onto the Hanger Straight, accelerating towards Stowe. Russell is getting closer in the draft, but he doesn't look like he's anywhere near ready to make a move at the moment. I'm sure he's thinking about it. He's starting to size up where Thiago is a little bit weak and where he can pick him up in a couple of mistakes. Had another quickest lap set on the lap prior. That's Philip Sheaf. There he is. The gap is getting ever closer. 6 or almost 7 seconds between Philip and Russell now. He set another 1 minute 57.92. So getting ever closer. We will bring up the best time for everybody so far. There it is, Philip Sheaf. There is the 1 minute 57.923. Great job from Philip so far. He's only gained 1 position, so he started in 4th, but he's quickly working his way up, carving his way through traffic as well. And I'm sure that beautiful, beautiful chrome and yellow livery, is it yellow or is that green? I'd probably actually call that Dayglow green livery, almost Brawn-esque sort of thing, is making him go quicker. As we all know, a good looking livery does make you go quicker. And I'm pretty sure that, that Philip has proved me right on that. We'll go back up towards Russell Barnes. Here he is. Not as massively close this time by. The gap is definitely fluctuating between 1 full second and about 2/10 of a second. If you are just popping by the stream, please do feel free to subscribe. This is the 2nd stream on this channel at the moment. We've got this gentleman's perspective as well. This is the man that owns the channel and does all the workings in the background, Russell Barnes. So you will see him on the channel 99.9% of the time. You'll see his perspective as well on all of his videos. He does an amazing track guide series as well. So click on the channel, click on playlists, and you will see a track guide sort of extravaganza, so to speak. You've got BMW 12 or BMW 12.0 fixed track guide, I believe it's called BMW Bluffers Guide. So a few of those tracks aren't showing up on the calendar this season, but he did do it last season, and if they pop up again, please do feel free to go watch those, give them a like, show him some support. This season he's been doing an IMSA track series and that track guide series, and that really does seem to be improving the channel's sort of global scope, and he's doing a great job on those, staying nice and committed. I think he only missed 1 week, but that was because he stood on a plug. It's not the most comfortable experience for him. But please do feel free to go over, show him some support. This is also just a practice broadcast. This isn't something we do regularly, but I do it in the background. I am a commentator for Sim Racers World TV, and this weekend he's got a community race for his birthday. It's his birthday on Sunday the 16th of May, so this Saturday. And on the Sunday we've got a birthday community race for him at Road Atlanta in GT3s, and I do plan on streaming that as well. So please do feel free to pop by and look at both streams as well. We're going to have both streams available there on there as well. So obviously you will be able to see his perspective and my perspective as well. I'll be doing my best to keep up with the action of various cars. This stream is just a test stream. We're testing overlays and volumes and various bits like that. But obviously you don't just need to watch, you can take part. There are still spots in the session. It is an open session, so you don't necessarily have to register to join the session. You don't need to pre-register to join the session. It will be on the hosted pages beforehand. But if you would like to register, do type in the chat !Discord, and it will bring up the link. Feel free to join that and join an ever-growing community of incredibly active members. And feel free to start a conversation in any of the many used chats. Obviously, we've got iRacing chats and rig chats and IRL chats and various other bits. So do feel free to have a look. Yeah, I can't wait, mate. I can't wait to commentate on it. Obviously, this one isn't exactly a massively close representation of what it's going to be at the weekend. I'm going to try and be much more excited about it and obviously sort of go balls to the wall with the commentary. But this evening, it is just a test stream, and obviously we've got 25 minutes of the race to go, and 1 hour does actually drag on quite a way when you're doing it by yourself and you're in charge of all the cameras. Hence why we're just looking at Russell for the most part at the moment. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well, mate. I'm going to do my best to put on a good show, keep everybody entertained, and show off literally the full grid. Although it is Russell's special community race, obviously you've got to show off everybody on the grid. So obviously you'll be on there a fair bit as well. We'll go and have a look back at the closest cars on the circuit. We've got Antonio Bina coming under pressure from... Who is that? Actually, Antonio Bina is putting on the pressure to Stefan Hoffman ahead in the Deutsche Post BMW. Number 32 attacking, or number 6 attacking number 32. So Stefan Hoffman, if he is 32nd or rated 32nd, that means he has the I rating, or one of the lowest I rating in the sessions, or in one. Let me try this again. One of the lowest I ratings in the session. He has been rated 32nd, but he's clearly showing us up at this point. He's P7, so he qualified P9, and he's only worked his way forward from there. So he's definitely proving iRacing wrong. Doing a great job. Russell has dropped back to the tune of about 2 seconds now, so he's in a world of his own at this point. But Philip Schief, we looked at him a few laps back and he was 6 seconds away. He's now only 4 seconds away. There's the gap. So Philip will definitely be able to see Russell. We'll go onto the gyro camera on board of Philip. You can see Russell in the distance. Going through to chalk another lap on the books, heading on to lap 19 of this race. Well over halfway now, almost 20 minutes of the race remaining. So not a massive way to go. Obviously most of these guys have still got to pit. So they're definitely not done yet. Pit strategy might play a massive part in this because we've still got Russell with that slight front end damage that he's got to try and deal with. So obviously that will be slowing him down momentarily. He might choose to get it fixed in the pit stop. He might not have a choice. But he'll definitely be looking to see what that is doing for his race at the moment. We've got a couple of drivers pitting, P15 and P16. Joseph Nelson, Jordi Garcia. We've also had Christopher Foster dive into the pits. So at the moment, the top 15, almost top 20 have still got to pit at this point in the race. And going into the closing stages, you can see the next couple of laps getting rather busy for the pit lane. We'll have a look back to pit lane 2. There it is. There are the cars in the pit lane. There's 3 of them, and I'm sure we'll see a few more diving in fairly shortly. We'll go back to Russell Barnes. The clouds have come over on the Silverstone circuit. We'll have a look at some weather. The track temp hasn't got any cooler, still 32 degrees centigrade. So conditions not getting any easier out there, and the air temperature did stay pretty similar, 23 degrees centigrade. And the sun has decided to come out again. So changeable weather conditions at the moment. Obviously no rain as yet implemented in iRacing. I can't wait for the day that gets put in. We've just got to deal with sun and clouds for the most part at the moment. We'll keep an eye on the pit lane. We've still got a few cars to pit. We've got top 16 now. We had plenty of cars dive into the pits on the lap prior. But everybody has clearly got a strategy in mind. I'm sure Russell will probably end up doing the reverse strategy of Thiago. Another fastest lap of the race from Philip Schief. He's done a 1 minute 57.787. Philip now within 1.6 seconds of Russell Barnes ahead, so he's definitely closing up, and obviously Russell will have that in the back of his mind. So if I were Russell at this point, I would probably dive into the pits and see what he can do on a cooler car. He might not take a fresh set of tyres, but if he dives into the pits, obviously the car will cool off a slight bit. But if he stays out for a little too long, he will compromise himself to Philip Sheaf behind, and Philip is only getting closer at this point. So if I was Russell, I would dive into the pits to make the most of a pit strategy and see whether it can work. So obviously, he's not just got Philip Sheaf behind, he's got Thiago Pereira ahead, and we've seen Russell has the pace over Thiago. Russell's fastest time is a 1 minute 58.20, Thiago's is a 1 minute 58.60, so 4 tenths quicker Russell has got. But I say that as Philip Sheaf behind. I just looked a row below, and Philip has lapped half a second quicker than Russell Barnes on 90% of the laps. So Philip definitely on a charge. Now only 6 tenths between these two guys, so I'm sure Russell will obviously see him in his mirrors. We'll go on board with Thiago, with Philip. Sorry, if I can find the camera. There we go. Like I said, I was expecting Russell to dive into the pits this lap just to make sure he doesn't give Philip Sheaf any sort of advantage in terms of draft. He's going into the pits. We'll ride on board with him for... Actually, we won't ride on board with him for the pit stop. That will look slightly boring. I say that, but I end up doing it anyway because I'd already selected the option. I'm sure there's a better camera we can find somewhere. There we go. That's a much better camera. You can see everybody in the pits. Russell pulling into his pit stall, making sure he doesn't overshoot it. We'll have to have a look to see whether that damage does get fixed. It is quite minor. You don't get a fast repair in these races. You can hear the revs rise. He's doing everything he can to provoke his pit crew into putting the fuel in as quick as they can. He should leave the pits in the top 10 still. There he goes, roaring up pit exit, grabbing every gear he can. Comes out P7. So only a net loss of 5 positions for him so far. But obviously, if Philip Sheaf is on a charge, he's just set a purple sector 4. There's the gap. Or on the lap prior, sorry, he set a purple sector 4. So he's still pushing forward. The gap from Philip to Thiago ahead is now 1.8 seconds. So Philip definitely on a roll at the moment. Currently in P2, started P4. And he's been lapping quicker than anybody else on the circuit so far. So we'll keep an eye on Philip for the moment, just to see whether he's going to dive into the pits. I will turn up iRacing a little bit, because I've just realised how quiet it actually is. There we go. See if we can get a slightly better camera angle for you. There you go. Diving into the final chicane. Philip staying out, but we have got a leader diving into the pits. This is Thiago in the first of what was a duo of Porsches. So Thiago diving into the pits this time by Philip, inheriting provisional P1 at the moment, but that BMW, after mild experience in these cars, they do guzzle fuel rather quickly. So I'm sure his car will be getting slower from this point. Obviously the tyres will be dropping off, and the less fuel you have, that almost decreases the mechanical grip because you don't have that weight pushing down on the car. Obviously we do know a lighter car can tend to be a quicker car, but there's a point where it reaches where the car's so light that you start almost losing mechanical grip. But that doesn't seem to be bothering the driver from Carolina. Russell Barnes in grabbing a couple of positions in the pits. He's now up to P6. We had Paul Mikos and Rob. Who do we have? We had Rob Clock dive into the pits, or Cloak, pardon me. But Russell now in P6, and he did come out once again behind Thiago. There's the gap between those two, 2.4 seconds. So the gap not massively changed at this point. So I'm sure that is slightly frustrating for Russell. But obviously, when Russell dove into the pits on lap 21, this man here, Philip Sheaf, he was within half a second of Russell, and Philip has been lapping quicker on these previous laps, so I'm expecting Philip to dive into the pits on the next 2 laps, and it wouldn't surprise me if he came out in front. So Russell is now well and truly fighting for that final spot on the podium. We've had an issue for Davidson Man, who I actually believe is Man Davidson. It's just the overlay playing silly buggers. There is the 4GT going through Aintree, runs wide, can't quite get the car straightened up in time, does a great job of keeping it pointing the right way, locks everything up, but he's well and truly off the circuit. Does the best he can to join the track gradually and very predictably. We'll go back live with him to see what he's doing. Going on to the final, or on what, let's have a look what that is. That is actually the old pit straight going through Cops Corner. We've had our leader, Philip Schief, dive into the pits with everybody else by the look of it. Philip Schief, Martin Arts and Thomas Johnson also going into the pits with him. Here is our original leader, Thiago Pereira. Sorry, it's Pereira. There he is, winding his way through the final corner. We'll have to see where Philip Schief comes out. Philip Schief is now on pit exit. There he is. The gap is only going to get closer from this point, so you can hear Thiago's Porsche screaming up towards him, and it looks like Philip Schief has just managed to take. He is, well, not just managed, he has well and truly managed to take the lead. So a great job from Philip. He knew exactly what he needed to do on the pit strategy and has executed it perfectly. Thiago is there, and then there is Russell Barnes, and that's Russell's race almost over in terms of a P1, unless Philip Schief and Thiago ahead come to blows. It doesn't look like Russell is going to have a chance at the top step of the podium, but he is going to keep on fighting for that final step of the podium. He's got a little damage on the rear left as well, so he's got front right and rear left damage on that Porsche. I think he was trying to even it out. But the only real threat for him at the moment is making a mistake, because the next car behind is Martin Arts, and here he is going down through Brooklands in his chrome BMW. The gap is 15 seconds to Russell Barnes ahead. So there's a massive gap between these two, so even if Russell does make a slight mistake, he's got plenty of time to make up for it. Got an issue for Javier Nicolas Rodriguez. We'll have a look back to see what happened to him. Going into the final chicane, followed by a Ford. Is there a little tap behind? I think he was helped around. Yes, he definitely was helped around. Going through the final corner, the Argentinian driver, he's just taken the car straight back to the pits, so he was clearly in need for it. Has he got back out onto the circuit? He has left the session. Such a shame for him. What a camera angle that is. As we see 3 BMWs screen by, but back to this lead trio. Russell Barnes doing everything he can to catch up to Thiago Pereira ahead. The gap's 2 seconds now, and Philip Schief is just disappearing into the distance. 5 seconds to the good is Philip now, going through the final corner, crossing the line to go on to lap 24. With only 12 minutes of the race to go. He's pretty much got this win in the bag, but I don't want to speak too soon. He has been lapping quick for the entire race, and he's still got to do it for the next 12 minutes, but he's built up such a nice, comfortable margin to Thiago Pereira behind. He can afford just to start to wind it down a little bit, maybe save the tyres, save the fuel, and just coast across the line. See you later, Nathan. I'm sure I'll see you on Discord beforehand. But if not, yep, good luck on Sunday, and I'm sure you'll do fine. Obviously, every little mistake you make, I will make sure is on the stream. So a bit of pressure's on, mate, but good luck. Back to the action though. Philip Schief now P1. He has gained 3 positions from where he started. He was rated 17th, so if you were looking at the timing sheets, you wouldn't have thought he was a competitor for the podium, let alone the win, but he's well and truly shown that he is winning material. Thiago Pereira, there he is, going through Beckett's. There's Russell Barnes as well, just behind in the second of the Porsches. Martin Arndt has got slightly closer, the gap now 14.3 seconds to the BMW behind. Martin has gained 10 positions from where he started, so he's come from P14 up to P4. That could be damage limitation.
The beautifully chrome spec matte car is looking very clean as well. Doesn't look like it's got any damage of any sort. So a dominating drive from Martin so far, very under the radar. Speaking of under the radar, this is Max Boak in one of the Porsches we've currently got on the grid, coming under intense pressure from Julian Lafrancos, and he's just dropped way back past them all. I was saying he's worked his way up the order. He had gained 21 positions from where he started, but he's now only gained 19 positions. I say that like it's not a major amount, but that is an amazing amount. So he is currently P15. So he's come back all the way. He's come all the way back from P34. So the penultimate spot on the grid. Done a great job so far. We'll have a look back to see how many positions these guys have gained. There we are. So we can see how many people, or how many positions people have gained. Speaking of Max Boak, he is the biggest mover in the field with those 19 positions, followed by Jose Maria, I believe. Yes, it is Jose Maria. Just behind, he has gained 17 positions. Then Vincent Franken, the driver ahead of him, has gained 14 positions. So a lot of big movers in the field, mostly positive, but we've got a couple of negatives towards the bottom end of the field. Just ticked over to the 8.5-minute mark, so only 8.5 minutes remaining. We've had an issue for Gustav Xavier going into the first hairpin. Over-rotated the car on the way in, wasn't helped by the curbs, keeps his foot planted, spins the rear tyres up. That won't have helped him. Obviously that will have overheated the rear tyres while also decreasing the amount of life they've got in them. He loses probably about 3-4 positions in that, but he gets it back going again. We join him just going through Maggots and Beckett's. We'll go back to this, well, what was a lead battle, but Russell has really dropped back now, 6.5 seconds to Thiago ahead. I think he's just got in his mind, bring the car home. Only 8 minutes remaining now. He's got a bit of damage, so he's just focusing on bring the car home. We've got another issue for Gustavo. We've just been with him. Here he is. This is where we left him, going through Maggots and Beckett's up towards Chapel. This is a very similar incident to earlier. Over-rotated the car on the entry. Once again, he keeps his foot planted. Tries to get it pointing the right way down. Just gets it slowed down before he. Oh, that was a very slight tap from one of the cars that passed him, and he's decided that is going to be the end of his day. But here is Russell Barnes, Mr. Finding Speed himself, going down the back straight in towards Brooklands, doing a great job so far. He has lost a position from where he started, but he did start P2, so there's not massive amounts of movement that you can make. 10 seconds now, the gap behind. Martin Arts is getting closer, but Russell, he has started to just drop off. He's started to wind it back. He's been one of the only drivers in the 2-minute 2s, so he's definitely been slowing it down. He's had his pit stop, and obviously he's got that bit of damage, so I think he's just doing everything he can to not make any stupid moves, not take any extra risks that he needs to, and just bring it home in P3 and fill out the podium. You could see Thiago Pereira ahead, but that's nowhere near how far ahead Philip Schief is now. The gap's up to 5 seconds there, and you just see Thiago come into shot in the background. You can hear him coming in almost in that screaming Porsche 911 RSR. But Philip Schief has had an absolutely faultless race, doing an absolutely amazing job. He's only had one incident point at this stage in the race, so that's one little off track. And he is he's just an incredible driver. Gained 3 positions from where he started, so he started outside of the podium positions. And we've mentioned it earlier, but he was rated number 17. So you wouldn't have rated him for a podium, let alone a win. But he's doing a great job, lapping quicker than anybody else out on the track at the moment. Go back to Russell Barnes. If you are just joining us, this isn't a massively formal stream. We are just testing various little bits. Obviously the SDK software, which is all the timing software you can see on the left and right side of your screen. We're just testing it ahead of this weekend. If you don't know, this weekend we have got a community race for you to join if you wish. It is Russell Barnes' birthday this weekend on the Saturday. If you don't know who I'm talking about, the gentleman we've got on screen at the moment, Russell Barnes, you are on his channel. I'm just one of his friends, and I also do a bit of commentary in the background. And he's speaking of his community race this Sunday. He has kindly invited me to commentate on it, so you will obviously see his perspective, which is what you'll 99% see on this channel. All of his track guides and various streams. He streams every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday with his updated schedule. But yes, the community race this weekend, it is obviously his birthday race as well, the day after his birthday. Road Atlanta in a choice of your GT3 cars, or of the GT3 cars, pardon me. So there's no limit on what GT3 car you drive, as long as it fits within the GT3 car class on the iRacing service. You can drive it at Road Atlanta. It's a 1 hour race, you've got 2 fast repairs, so more than pretty much any series you will find on iRacing. So hopefully that formulates into some nice close racing. If a couple of cars get caught up in an incident on the first few laps, you can dive into the pit, take a fast repair and go straight back out there, battling door to door once again. Speaking of battling door to door, we've got Christopher Foster. After a couple of previous incidents, he's now under pressure from Joseph Nelson behind. Joseph Nelson being hounded by some lap traffic, so it's not even a move for position. It's the BMW behind, putting him under some intense pressure. So the Texan trying to make inroads onto Christopher ahead, but Christopher doesn't seem phased. He's almost been helped out by that lapped traffic behind. We'll look backwards from Joseph Nelson's cars. There is the lapped traffic. So Joseph's really dropping back now, 1.5 seconds to Christopher ahead. There's the gap. So Christopher picks up another position. He's now P17 and driving forward, working towards P16. Jordi Garcia ahead. There's the gap. Nothing major between these two guys. Almost 3 seconds. So that is doable in the closing stages of this race. 4 minutes of the race to go. We'll go back to Russell Barnes. 5 seconds is the gap between him and Martin Arts behind. There's the gap. As soon as we get to another camera angle, there we go. Martin Arts, there's Russell Barnes. So really not far up the road at all. We've had another issue for Man Davidson. We've seen him get caught out here before. We've seen him a couple of times on the stream so far. Just over-rotates the car going through Aintree. It looks like that car's been very, very loose on the tail end. And obviously overheating his tyres won't have helped earlier on, but he gets it back going, and we'll go back live with him to see how he's doing. Working his way through the stadium section onto the old start-finish straight. He's now right the way down in P25, so dropped back to quite a large extent. But Russell Barnes still P3 at the moment, Mr. Finding Speed himself in that beautiful, fiercely forward liveried machine. Just works his way past a little more light traffic. That BMW you can see in the background is Martin Ertz. There he is. So getting ever closer now, 3.5 seconds between both of those two guys. 2 minutes of the race to go, so it wouldn't surprise me if we've just ticked on to the final lap of the race. If not, it's 2 more laps Russell has got to endure and just keep Martin behind. The gap's got ever closer now, 1.8 seconds. Russell really not helped by that lap traffic, but obviously Russell will now have the draft assistance from what I think is Max Boak. Let me try and find him on the timing screen. There he is. It is Max Boak. He's dropped even further back now. Previously he had gained 21 positions. He's now only gained 11 positions from where he started. In a very uniquely liveried Porsche, which I think I saw a woman's nose on the side of it, but actually we'll look back to Russell Barnes. Now only half second between these two guys. Russell will do everything he can to keep that final podium position. This isn't supposed to be a massively formal stream, and it's not supposed to be something that's commentated on very often, but I'm sort of getting into my stride here. That's an absolutely amazing move from Martin Arts just behind it. Almost looked like Russell was contemplating on letting him by. Russell did have to go the shorter way around, but it was the tighter way around, so he couldn't hold quite the momentum that Martin could around the outside. Great battle so far. Martin chopping and changing up to the inside. Had to pull out of the move, so clever driving from Martin. But he will have the draft assistance going onto the hangar straight, so Russell Barnes doing everything he can to keep the BMW behind. We'll look backwards from Russell Barnes now. There's the gap. literally nothing in it, so getting ever closer, and 3/10 between them now, so there's really nothing to choose. Almost looks like Martin has just got alongside. He's doing everything he can to go around the outside. He kept most of the momentum out of Chapel Corner. He's got the inside for Stowe. Russell squeezing him up to the white line, then diving up to the outside, see if he can get to the preferred line and get the momentum, but Martin just keeps the apex. So that's Russell demoted down into P4, and it was the final lap of the race. So this really won't be what Russell was hoping, and that was a very late dive, locks the brakes. That was a very last-ditch attempt, but Russell Barnes will end up crossing the line in P4 after losing that final podium position on the last lap of the race. So not something he wanted at all. Pulls over to the side of the road and decides that is that. We just got a couple of cars crossing the line. We've got Rob Clokey has already crossed the line. Antonio Bina's already crossed the line, I believe. There he is, crossing the line. Stefan Hoffman, here he is in the Deutsche Post BMW. Richard Stone working his way through the final corner in what is the first of the Ferraris, finishing P11 after starting P22. Good drive from him. That is Lafrancos, Vincent Franken, Jose Maria Quintana. Working his way through the final section of corners. Jordi Garcia doing exactly the same in the BMW. We've got a couple of drivers still trying to finish. There we go. We're trying to keep up with them all. Joseph Nelson, after being caught up in a couple of incidents, the second of the Ferraris, followed by Kevin Dejoux in the what I think is the final Ferrari on the grid. It is indeed. Kevin Dejoux finishing P20 after starting what was P4. Maybe P3 even, yes. Kevin Dejoux started P3. So not a great race from him. Hayden Fowler, I think, will be the last finisher we have. He will indeed. By no mean feat as well, finished P22. Only lost 2 positions, started P20. Here he is crossing the line. The last driver to cross the line, screaming across the line, not just driving across it, screaming across it in the 911 RSR. Working his way through the first sector once again. I don't think he wants it to be able. We'll go on to blimp cam just so we can really show off this Silverstone circuit. Great job from everybody here. So I'm just waiting for the results to come through and make it so they are available to us. Can't quite get it just yet. Let me see what we can do about that. Still got the timing tower there. I'm not 100% sure what it's doing. Let me go on to Mr. Russell Barnes. There we go. We have the results coming to us now. So, finishing P1, a dominating drive from Philip Schief. We saw strategy played into his hands massively there, going into the pits later than anybody else did. He had the pace at the start of the race, and obviously he set the fastest lap of the race as well, a 1 minute 57.79. So a great job from Philip, really pushing forward and managing to take top honours here at Silverstone by the tune of 7.5 seconds from Thiago Pereira behind, managing to finish P2. Martin Arts just getting the final spot on the podium on the final lap. Sadly, Russell Barnes lost out on what was going to be a hard-fought podium, lost out to Martin on the final lap and ended up crossing the line P4. Thomas Johnson finished P5. Rob Clokey P6. Athos Barnasini finished P7. Antonio Bina finished P8. Junichi Yamamura finished P9, and Stefan Hoffman rounds out the top 10. I'll leave you to read through the final few drivers in the top 18, and then we will look a little further back to see how the rest of the field fared. So that's the top 18. That's not dropped quite back to the amount I wanted it to. There we go. Kevin Dejoux finishing P18, and there I think that is actually that we've managed to squeeze them all onto 2 screens. So that is the rest of the, or what was supposed to be the rest of the finishes, but we've got a couple of drivers obviously losing out and not taking the checkered flag. I think it was Tom Edmonds, Marco Mendes, Max Wessig, Lemature Baptiste, Javier Rodriguez, Gustavo Xavier, Paul Mikos, and Rafael Phil, I think, was the final of our finishes, and everybody else prior did end up retiring from the race earlier on. But that was an eventful race, let's go with, full of action up and down the field. And obviously this was just a test stream as well. This wasn't supposed to turn into a massively serious race, but that is what we were treated to. So a great job from everybody on the circuit today here at Silverstone. So if you haven't heard already, just type in !Discord in chat and it will bring you to the Finding Speed Discord, or it'll give you a link to the Finding Speed Discord. Feel free to join. And obviously, we don't just have a test stream for nothing. This was a test stream for this Sunday. This Sunday we have a FindingSpeed.com community race at Road Atlanta. It is for Russell Barnes' birthday. Russell is the creator and owner of the FindingSpeed.com channel and produces all of the content on the channel. I am just a close friend that has been invited along to help him with the community race this weekend, and it looks like I'm going to be commentating on it as well. But yeah, so it's a 1 hour race at Road Atlanta this weekend in GT3, so a GT3 car of your choice, just rock up, or you can pre-register to make sure you secure a position beforehand. And obviously that's all the information you need is available in the Discord, so feel free to go over there and have a look through and join the ever-growing active community on the FindingSpeed.com Discord server. But other than that, thank you very much for watching, everybody, and massive thank you for Nathan, obviously, for keeping active in chat and saying hello. It really helps me get through the full 1 hour race at Silverstone. But thank you very much, everybody else that joined as well. But from me, Jack Werrell, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.